You got to look at what Aaron Pico did with Solo Hatley.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I look at with that is God bless Greg Jackson sometimes, because he was able to get into that kid's head and make him realize you don't have to be a highlight reel fighter every time.
Yeah.
You just got to go out and fight smart, get wins. And as you say, winning solves all the problems.
Yeah. Just
keep winning and things will fall into place. And Aaron was in that position where he really was in over his head. I'm just going to say it. He was matched up over with people when he was not prepared for those people based upon his knowledge of the sport. And that's his fault. You got to put the blame where it truly belongs, because he wanted to be that guy that was stepping up, fighting those guys, and he was being pushed by certain people. You know that, I know that, but he's got to have enough in him to say no. And we talked to him about that, and he said, "Man, if I could do it again, I would do things different. But now here's where I'm at, and from this point forward, I'm going to be a smart fighter." And then he went out there, and he was a smart fighter. He took 0 damage, had a very nice performance against a guy who is a good athlete, a good wrestler, a strong and fast individual, and he just showed that his wrestling was just above the level of Solo Hatley's right now. Took him down, got the back, gets the choke. A beautiful performance by Aaron Pico, puts him at 5-3. And this, people talk all the time, and I just want to put into perspective what you have here. Because he's 5-3, people are counting him out, saying, "Oh, he sucks. Oh, he'll never be good." He'll be great if he continues on this path. There have been people in the past. There's people right now in the present that have been champions with a record that is, kind of similar. Rose Namajunas. Look at her record. I think she's 9-4 now off of her win against Andrade.
I think so.
All right, 9-4. That's not much different than what we have with Erin. She's been a champion, and she is a champion challenger right now. She's the one, if you're looking at, that's going to fight Weili Zhang. There's people out there that have losses. I go back to Carlos Newton, was a guy that, he was welterweight champion in the UFC. He started his career 4-3, 5-3, just like Aaron Pico. So
yeah.
Aaron can do it. He just needs to continue on the path that he's on right now.
So there's a couple of things that I'll start from the very beginning. Let's start from the beginning of when he first signed. Let's start from the very beginning. For those of you guys that haven't, I interviewed him a long time ago when he first had signed with Bellator, and he was about to have his first fight, and I had interviewed him. I'd also had him on again, talking with him as well. He probably took some of what I had said after some of his losses, to heart. I feel like maybe there'd be a little bit of some connections that him and I have had that are not there anymore. But he is all the things that I've always thought he would be. But the thing is that he had to get out of his own way. And what people need to understand is when you first negotiate your contract at a young age of, he wasn't even 18 yet, basically when he had signed the contract. Yeah, he's first signed. Yeah. So, and then they waited for him to get done with his Olympic trials and all the things and those type of things for his Olympic run. When that happened, when they signed him, they wanted a certain amount of money. They gave him a certain amount of money. And when that money came, you're obligated to fight the level of guys that came with that money. And that was talked about. And so look, if you're saying he's ready for this, okay, and he thinks he's ready for that, and your coaches think he's ready for that, and your managers think that, and and it goes with this amount of money, we'll give that to you. Now, I think he got screwed on his first fight because no one wanted to fight him. He couldn't get a fight from anyone. Nobody, except for a Patricky or, because remember, he fought at 55.
Yeah.
So Patricky didn't want to, these guys were nah, I'm not interested. I'm looking for title shots. I'm not looking to fight a new guy. And so those guys were nobody else that was below them wanted to fight him. They would have fought him. Chandler would have fought him. Patrick would have fought him. They would have fought him. They're it's not really on my way to the goal. And the goal is to get to the title. That's a setback if I was to lose,
And beating him doesn't do anything.
It doesn't do a damn thing. I'm beating an 0-0 guy. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Anyways, he got paid a certain amount of money to fight. So that contract was coming to a close, and he had ended up being, I want to say he was 3-2 or something like that, I think at the time. When they renegotiated his new contract, I said, look, let's take some time. Let's get you sorted out. What do you want to do? You need to find a camp. He had switched managers. This is another thing that I think was a very positive thing, is that when he had left Bob Cook and the guys and Zink and management, he was looking around for a manager. And when he was looking around for a manager, Ali had hit me up and asked me, what do you think about this kid? I said, you don't need to listen to me, but I'm like, he's everything that we think he can be. There's no doubt. You need to get him to be him. You need to get him to be, an adult. At that time, his family was kind of helping him, guiding him in all these things. And so once I had told Ali that not just help. Me.
That wasn't help. You know that.
What's that? His
family was helping guide him. It wasn't help.
No, it was not.
They were guiding him in the wrong direction.
In the wrong direction. Yeah. And look, and he basically said, like, look, all the responsibility goes on me. He knows that. There's no doubt about it. And that's right. He is right. And I could tell how much he's matured from the first time. At the first time, 19, 20 years old, his dad, it's hard to have your parents, and he's going to say it wasn't his family. And I get it. His family's not making the decisions for him, but they're guiding him in the direction that the decisions they want to be made. Those things being done, they don't help you. They put more pressure on you. And so when he went with Ali, I know that the conversation that was said with Ali was like, hey, I don't do family, man. I do you. You and I, if it's a business deal, it's like I come to you and you give me an answer like a man. And that's it. This is the deal. Like, I don't go and talk to dad and see what's going on. I don't go talk to brother. I don't go talk to girlfriend. I don't go talk to mom or uncles and aunts and grandpas. I don't do that. Okay. That doesn't mean I can't be friends with dad, brother, and everybody else.
I'll be friendly to them.
Exactly. But
I just don't do business with them.
I don't do business with them. I do business with you. I manage you. You're my athlete, and I take care of you. So that happened. And then he went to Greg Jackson's, and Greg Jackson's is a fabulous place for him because he loves horseback riding, and it's in Albuquerque, New Mexico. He bought a place there. He's now fully committed. All of these things now, when he renegotiated his contract, is not a setback, but it's a step back to, hey, now we're paying you these figures, which means your opponents will be here versus what we were paying you here. Now your opponents needed to be here. There's a big difference on when you get paid more, you're expected to fight to that level of pay. That means that, hey, if I'm paying you this, you need to be fighting the Peter Queelys and the Patrickis and the Chandlers and Bensons and those guys. You need to be fighting those guys. If you're not, then we need to knock that pay down a little bit. And so those adjustments were made. He's now in Albuquerque, and you saw right off the bat that he's utilizing his wrestling. I would have liked to have seen him set it up a little bit better, but I got to tell you, all he's got to do is get in, and his wrestling's next level.
He transitions from one element to the next so well. As soon as he's into you, he's going to take you down because you're trying to stop one thing, and he's already switched it up to another. And even if you can get yourself back on that, he's already gone to the next. You just can't stop. He's
going to have a hard time, I think, a little bit. I won't say he'll have a hard time with Juan Archuleta, but he'll have a hard time catching Juan. Like, if he ever has to fight Juan, he'll have to, like, cut him off and find him, If he ever gets to fight Juan. Juan's fighting at 35, I know, for the title, but Juan does that 135, 145, 155. Around. He jumps around. I'm just thinking in terms of guys that would give him a hard time. Darian Caldwell is right on the top. It would give him a hard time just because of the athleticism. And, and obviously Patricio, because Patricio's short and stocky, got dogs in his hands. I mean, just hits like a truck and super fast. And since working with Henry Cejudo for so long, his takedown defense is fucking phenomenal now. And we saw that against Juan Archuleta. Juan was in deep on a bunch of takedowns and couldn't take him down. Pico has all those things. But when he gets to that next level of where he is, and I'm obviously talking to you about future. I'm not talking about right now.
Next term contract.
Next term contract will be, okay, I want to see you punching to your takedown. I want to see you getting them to retaliate, then you dropping your hips and your level and then shooting. Those are things that I want to see. Right now, it was like, it wasn't even a punch. It was waited for him to kind of feint the jab, and then, okay, I got in deep because he's so good at he's basically so good at that first initial step. He snatched a single, drove him to the fence, switched went to the dump, then lifted, and it was a nice, easy takedown. But the one thing, all those things said, I just said a whole mouthful. All of those things said, though, John, the one thing that impressed me the most, his ground and pound. He got on top, and when he was able to hip in on Solo Hatley and he had no answer, when you make someone go turtle, he turned over and just gave him his back, and that was the end of it. I mean, like, that was just the end. The ground and pound was so hard and so vicious, and he hipped in to make sure he couldn't get up kicked. I was like, this kid's going to be dangerous. Anytime he gets you down and he starts putting hands on you like that, he's going to be dangerous. And I'm excited to see what his next step will be and how much better he gets between here and his next fight with Greg Jackson.
100% agree. Okay.